Welcome back once again for the round 10 it is. Season's flown by, round 10 of the JINX Starter2 series. We're here at Lime Rock, a fast, flowing, yet tight and twisty all at the same time circuit. Very short lap here at Lime Rock, and we're going to see a ton of V8 supercars getting around this particular circuit. It's going to make for some fantastic racing. So here with me to call all the action, as always, we've got Matt Andrews, but we've also got Jonathan Hancock joining us tonight as well. Welcome, guys.
Yeah, hey boys, good to be here. Dave, a bit sick at home. If you're watching, Dave, get well soon. But good to have John along tonight and yourself, Ed. Going to be another action-packed round, and yeah, as you said, round 10. So not too many rounds to go, and looking forward to another interesting race tonight.
All right, so just having a look at the drivers finishing up their pre-race warm-up at the moment, and we're just going to wait for the qualifying results to come through. Of course, we will see those, as always, when the drivers grid up. So at the moment, drivers just circulating, just getting used to being out there with the same drivers that they're going to be racing against, obviously. Getting an idea for where they're good, where they might have a little bit of work to do versus some of the other drivers, and just sizing up the competition a little bit too, I think.
Yeah, well, just watching this warm-up session, a lot of cars off the track. I mean, you normally get that in these sessions. People normally go pretty wild, but if this practice session is anything to go by, we could be in for some interesting moments there. A lot of cars finding the grass on the exit of a couple of the corners, and when you find the grass in these cars, you just cannot seem to get any grip and regather it, and they're just sort of sliding off into the barriers. So that'll be something to look out for tonight.
So we've had obviously 9 rounds of this series so far. We've got a reasonably good form guide of who the potential winners are going to be. Is there anyone in particular you guys have got your eyes on tonight?
Well, for me, Alex Court, I mean, I had a bit of a sneaky preview in qualifying. He had a fair amount of pace, but I mean, yeah, your regulars at the moment, the last few rounds have been James Ruwalt, Simon Chadwick, those types of guys, Daniel Hederscheid. Those guys have been right up the front. I think Court might have pole for this, so we've been waiting for Court to really join the battle of those first 3 runners in the last couple of weeks, and a bit of a duff start and a risky padded strategy call last week has meant that we haven't quite been able to see that battle unfold. So hopefully tonight we'll see Court mix up with those guys.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Bailey Bell's another one that has been challenging up the front fairly consistently. He's out there tonight in the number 96, so it'll be worth keeping an eye on him as well. We're coming down to the last minute of the warm-up before we actually grid these cars up for the start of the race. And Jono, obviously you're new to this series, but just from what you've been able to see so far, what are you expecting to see out there tonight?
As always with these series that the JP Team Show guys put together, a very competitive race out here tonight. It will be. We're seeing a lot of very close times all the way back through to the midfield. Just here in practice alone, and in qualifying they were all very, very close on times as well.
Yeah, it certainly was just very close, sort of up and down the field, really. And that's really been a hallmark, as you mentioned, of this series so far. And of course, with such a short lap here, it's 51 seconds is what the top guys are doing it in, certainly for a qualifying lap anyway. So definitely lap traffic we're going to see come into play tonight as well.
Yeah, it's a very tight circuit. Sorry there, John. There seems to be a lack of real overtaking manoeuvres. I think we'll just be looking to turn 1 in the last corner as the main places to overtake. Lap traffic is going to be a major player.
Yeah, lap traffic will play into it as we get ready to grid here.
Yeah, we're just going to have the drivers line up on the grid, and we're going to be able to run through that starting grid for you. So any moment now, the warm-up session is going to officially end. It has done. The checkered flag is out for that one, and all the drivers are going to be gridding up. So here is your starting grid. We've actually got James Ruwalt on pole. He snatched it away from Alex Court. Then we've got Simon Chadwick lining up in P3 ahead of Lassif Leonage. Great qualifying there from him, P4. Marty Hansen and Michael Dumbrell, row 3. Then we've got Benjamin Simon, Cameron Veacock. A few guys actually having very, very decent qualifyings up there this afternoon. So then we've got Caldwell Hederscheid, John Schultz, Tyson McAvoy, he's a little bit further down than he would have wanted. Mark Duggan, Bailey Bell, Jamie Davis, Luke Holland, Wade Michael, John Sorensen, Jacob Brewer, Brodie Scott, Aaron Gilbert, Alexander Newton, Chris Barnes, Dean Williams, Jonathan Ben, 25th, Hayden Harrison, Mitch Campbell, Stephen Griffiths, Clay Lewis, Michael Schroeder, Craig Schultz, and Nathan Menke, rounding out your field of 32 cars, which are going to take the start here in just a few moments.
Well done, Ed. I'm surprised if you've got any air left as we get ready to go green. Some really good results there. Great to see some different drivers that we haven't seen throughout the series up the front, which promises to make it quite interesting tonight.
Yeah, so, and there we go. And we are away, and Ruwat away terribly. Alex Court's got the jump on him, and just about everyone's got the jump on him. Ruwat dropping down to, got to be around about 10th position. Absolutely shocking start from him. But we've got Alex Court rounding the first corner. He's got right tucked in behind him, Lasseth Leonage, his teammate. So he's going to be very, very happy to see those Jinx Shifters colours in his mirror, holding back Simon Chadwick at the moment. Hansen, Siren following them through.
Setting off in the backfield is Cameron Veacock, a guy who qualified in the top 10. He's just run a bit wide. I think he might have received a bit of a tap on the rear quarter panel.
Yeah, entirely possible. And now we're just having a look back to see how far down Ruwat fell. He's back behind Hedderscheid, and Hedderscheid started out of P10. So that gives you an idea of exactly how far down the field he has fallen. But back at the front, we've got Alex Court leading Leonage across the line. JP Simshed, 1, 2. Then back Chadwick, Hansen, Siren and Dumbrell. They're your leading pack, that top 7, as they all cross the line together.
It's been a big accident back in the pack. John Sorensen involved, Jamie Davis, one of our big regulars, but I think the initial spin there has to do with John Schultz, who comes through the chicane pretty tight, cops the tap on the right rear quarter panel, spins, creates a big blockage. 3, 4, 5 cars involved. Sorensen and Schultz the worst to come out of that.
Yeah, certainly not what they wanted at the start of this race. Sorensen actually still parked on the side of the track there as the leaders go through. Unfortunate for that new team, Vision Motorsport, to start out that way, and he's actually taken that tow back to the pits. Mark Duggan, he's in there. His engine's steaming up really badly as well.
We've had the ultimate betrayal. 2 teammates have gotten together here. Bailey Bell and I believe his teammate Brodie Scott have come together. That's not what you like to see from the Dripping Paints graphics guys. And you're kidding me. All 3 Dripping Paint graphics cars come together on the same corner.
Oh, and just as you say that, I'm sorry, James Ruwalt coming together with, I believe it was Caldwell, Darren Caldwell. Those two were actually battling there. I think Caldwell had just gotten past Ruwalt, and Ruwalt's, they've come together anyway, and put them even further back down in the pack. And, yeah, that's shocking luck for those guys.
Yeah.
So feel free to talk us through the replay, Jono.
Just the wrap car got up the inside of the JP Sim shed car there and just gave him a bit of a nudge, unfortunately, and turned him there.
Alright, so unfortunate for those two anyway, but we're still out the front. It is pretty much as you were. And as far as the Dripping Paints graphics guys, unfortunately, all getting together. It's going to be a very interesting team debrief in that particular camp. But I wouldn't necessarily like to be involved in that one. But definitely they're all going to have to. I mean, if something like that's going to happen, better off it happen nice and early in the race so you've got plenty of time to recover.
I think that's the first, Ed. I don't think I've ever seen 3 teammates get together in one corner. So anyway, that's something I'll tick off on my bucket list. I've now seen 3 teammates come together on the same corner. As we come out, we come out back in front, talking about teammates. 2 JP Simshed cars, the Jinx Shifter V8s, first and second. Simon Chadwick, last week's winner, in third. Marty Hansen, fourth, and Siren, he's in the boat repairs. Commodore lining out your top 5.
Yeah, and that top 5 is just beginning to pull a little bit of a gap over Michael Dumbrell, who's down there in 6th. And he's starting to come under a little bit of pressure from Hedderscheid, who's made his way up from 10th to P7 at the moment. And with the pace that he's shown so far in this series, we'd expect him to move forward as he just does. Snatch that break, just coming into that nasty little chicane there at the bottom of the hill. And he's going to have to gather that one back up and get on with it.
Yeah, it's always one of those things as a driver, you got to reset, refocus, and go again.
Angry battle pack forming behind Jacob Brewer, a bit of sporting a lot of damage on the left-hand side of his Holden. Got Chris Barnes all over the rear wing of his vehicle, and Ruwald, who we mentioned at the start of this race, having a shocking start, fighting his way back. He's back in 16th. So from pole position to 16th, bit of a poison chalice in this series. Whoever seems to be on pole just seems to really struggle off the line. But yeah, an interesting pack forming, and Ruwald's going to want to get a move on here.
Yeah, certainly. Pole position, yeah, as you mentioned, has not been a great starting position for anybody in the last few races. Just having a look at Bailey Bell, and he hit like the entire front of his Commodore is missing. I'm not sure I've ever actually seen that on a supercar before in iRacing, but yeah, the entire front of that thing is gone. He's got no headlights, no front splitter, anything.
Nice and cool.
Well, it'd be cool, yes, but I can't imagine it's going to be overly fun to drive. I can't imagine it's turning in particularly well.
Yeah, there's definitely no aerodynamics going on there.
No.
And we're just having a look back. Laszlo Leonage now in P2, just coming under a little bit of pressure. He's just getting a bit of a train stone to form behind him. He's got Chadwick in there and Hansen as well, so it's going to be a fair amount of pressure for him to absorb there. And I think that Siren is actually just starting to close that gap as well, and that could even potentially lead to Dumbrell bridging that gap as well up behind. So there's going to be a fair old battle going on for that particular place. I think this is actually as high as Leonage has run in any of these races so far. He's certainly done a stellar job in qualifying and get away well off the grid. He's done the first part of the race right, and it's just going to be a matter of him doing his best to hold off the guys behind and trying to secure that P2.
Yeah, really beautiful camera there looking back at Chadwick as he goes to look up the inside there through turn 1.
He's been Leonage has been a performer that I've been watching over the last 4 or 5 weeks. It seems as though he gets quicker and quicker each week. And it's great to see him up in second place. A real quick improver. Someone to look out for sure.
Yeah, it's the ultimate test now for him, isn't it? You know, having come in and having last week's winner right up behind you. And we can just see him just snatching a break into that chicane there. He's not the first one to do that by any means, and he won't be the last. But I just noticed as he ran into turn 1, he took a much shallower entry, kind of made the braking zone fairly diagonal across and turned in a bit earlier than Chadwick. And I think that may have actually just hurt his exit speed just ever so slightly. But he's got out of that last turn really, really well and actually extended. But see what he does there. That's what I'm talking about. He takes the turn entry into 1 a lot earlier, a lot shallower than the guys behind him, and I think it's costing him a little bit of exit speed. I can understand why he's sort of wanting to do that, because it's kind of denies Chadwick the opportunity of even thinking about putting his nose down the inside there, but it's not actually helping his pace, I don't believe.
No, we see a battle here for 12th and 11th between Mr. Williams and Luke.
Yeah, he's actually got, I think that's Dean Williams has actually got the recovering James Ruwalt right up behind him. And Ruwalt, very aggressive move, having a look into the chicane there. I'm not sure he's going to get that one done, but I think he's put Williams off sufficiently. But, it's actually backfired. And that's going to allow, I think it's Barnes in there behind him, Barnes to get a really good look. He's lost a lot of momentum. And strangely, just the way these things tend to work out, that seems to have invited Clay Lewis up the inside of Jonathan Bent. And they were about 4 cars back from that particular battle, but it just shows the way you need to keep your momentum.
Yeah, he might have had a couple seconds thought that maybe someone was going to lose it in front of him, so he's let off a bit too much to have a think about that, and that's just that I'll made up the inside there.
Won't go to the battle of this guy, but Daniel Hedderscheid, I'm not sure what happened to him, if you guys caught the start of that, but he's another big name way back in the field, 26th place, so down from 10th to 26th. An early pit stop, actually, I'm hearing for Hedderscheid. So, Okay, might have been a penalty of some sort or some sort of damage. So one to watch out for the header shot. Just noticed that he's way back there. But if we head over,
Header
yep.
shies, I'm sorry, just as we were talking about him, I was just having a little bit of a look at him, and Brody Scott got it all wrong in front of him, and Header shies had to take some avoiding action. But yeah, he has been in the pits. I haven't seen him involved in too much, so I'd be surprised if that was a penalty. He may have just decided to roll the dice a little bit on strategy, because he was probably down a little bit more than he wanted to be and take advantage of that clean air. But of course now, regardless to what the reason was, he's closing right up on the back of some of the lower down positions, and he's going to have to start fighting.
Yeah, on the replay there that we just looked at, it looked like he's just got it all wrong by himself and whacked the wall and bounced back out into the track.
So just cutting back, having a look now at the battle for second place. Chadwick still all over the back of Leonage, and he's just getting a little bit creative with some of his lines through that. What's almost a double apex turn, turns 1 and 2, taken a number of different ways. And I think that Chadwick's just sort of exploring the best way to take advantage of the line that we were looking at Leonage making into there earlier on. But I don't think it's actually worked for him on that particular lap, because Marty Hansen has just closed in on him a fair amount. And I'm sure that Chadwick's going to be having a bit of a chat over the radio as well to his teammate Benjamin Siren, who's right in there behind as well. He would want to get Siren up there past Hansen if at all possible, and that's going to happen because Hansen's making a dive for the pits.
Wow, interesting call there. Another early pitter. Hansen there, lap 12. We are hearing that the window is somewhere between now and lap 27. So this is an early call from Hansen. We'll see how this one plays out as the race unfolds.
Yeah, tyre life is very important in these V8 supercars here over a long stint, as we do know the tyres go away pretty quickly in these cars, and when they do, there's no grip in them.
Sorry, just got a bit of hip and shoulder going on here between Jacob Brewer and he's just spears it up the inside, knocks Clay Lewis off onto the grass. I think race control might be having a bit of a look at that one as he gets out the old hip and shoulder and just takes Clay onto that grass that we spoke about earlier, where you've got absolutely no grip, and Clay Lewis loses about 15 positions.
Yeah, just escorted him out onto the grass. Yes, I think they call that, don't they? So
race control's been so busy as well. I can't quite pick them up. I think I need to turn my engine sounds down, but I think a lot of penalties, a lot of redressing being dished out by race control, and that one might be another one added to the list.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing a bit of it, and no surprise with the nature of this track either. But of course, Brewer now getting some very, very close attention from Chris Barnes, who may have just looked at the move that he put earlier and just gone, well, you know what? What's good for one is good for another, and I might just try the same thing on you. So I'm sure Brewer will be hoping that's not the case, but definitely copping a lot of attention to that rear bumper at the moment. And yeah, it seems sooner rather than later, but pretty much a number of occasions up and down the grid at the moment, where you're kind of sensing things brewing all over the place, all throughout the field.
Yeah, as we saw a nice clean pass from the Simfinity machine to Daniel going into turn 1 then.
Quite interesting back at the front that Leonage has actually taken about 8/10 out of Alex Court in the last lap and built a pretty large gap back to Simon. So I don't know if he's just pulled the greatest lap of his life out there, or if Alex is maybe struggling with a bit of tyre life, but Leonage might have a bit of a setup here that could be good for a long run.
Well, Leonage, his last lap, 52.5. Alex Court 52.6 and Chadwick 52.6. So well spotted there. He's 10th quicker than any of the cars around him on that last lap. We're just going to have a quick look at what the times are as well. He's gone down to a 52.4 now, 3.9 to be exact, but for all intents and purposes a 4, which is about 3/10 faster than Court in front. And Chadwick as well has pumped in a 52.3, so the pace really hotting up. Benjamin Siren, unfortunately, has gone off the track in the 22 and is coming to a stop. He was in 4th place, and he's just come to a complete stop there on the grass. I'm not sure what's happened to him, but certainly something out of the ordinary for Benjamin Siren.
Oh, I think he's blown his engine. He's blown his engine coming into turn 1 as Siren. just rewinded it back. So downshifting a little bit too aggressively, and bang, the engine has given up. And
yeah, safety car on standby.
So yeah, he's parked out on the track there, so we could see a safety car. We'll just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, he is off on the grass, but it depends. And just watching Leonage there, he got a big tank slapper coming out of turn 2 there. Seems to have gathered that up, and he did a 52.6 that time around, a little bit slower. And Alex caught 52.5 or 485. He's extended a little way as well, and Chadwick 52.5. Looks as though they're remaining green for the time being.
Yeah, it's interesting. Court seems to have responded there, obviously noticing that Leonage was closing. So, yeah, they, I think initially I thought Court was going to run away with this, but it looks like Leonage might have something else to say for his teammate. Definitely one to look out for there as this race continues to unfold. Their pace is so impressive. They've pulled such a big gap, basically over 4th onwards, the top 3 of Court, Leonage and Chadwick, which is quite interesting. Michael Dumbrell in 4th place is someone that we've spoken about much in this series, having a beautiful drive, qualified 6th, sitting very comfortably in their 4th place. That's undoubtedly his best drive so far. It'd be good to see if he can hold that position for the remainder of the race and get himself some good points.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I was just about to make mention of, just regarding that. I mean, we're seeing, you did make a comment at the top of the show about the different drivers that we're seeing there up the top.
Yeah.
With Ruwalt and Hedderscheid and guys like that having issues. We're seeing drivers like Court, who you mentioned has been showing strong, but Leonage improving all the time. Chadwick, who won his first race last week, great showing from him again. Dumbrell's right up there. Jamie Davis, he's starting to force his way up there as well. Then we've got John Schultz, who remember had that great run a couple of rounds ago as well. So Bailey Bell making his way forward as well. But there's I guess the regular favourites striking trouble, there's a few new faces up there, and they're really giving a good account of themselves, I think.
Oh, you talked about John Schultz. He actually just went off on track as you were saying his name, and Bailey Bell's closed all over the back of him. He seems to have a decent pace, even though he's missing the entire front of his car. And he's recovered quite well to be sitting in 7th place and really hustling John right in front of him.
Well, that thing of Bell's has got to be underweight now, doesn't it? Surely.
Yeah, the pit crew are going to be busy. I don't think there's going to be enough race tape to cover that bad boy up.
No, certainly not. I shouldn't think so. All right, so just having a look now, we've had a few cars make their pit stops. I think we
cars coming in.
Yeah, had a couple of guys go in. Mark Duggan was one of those. I'm fairly sure I saw dive off into the pits, and he's coming under a fair amount of attack from Bailey Bell now since coming back out of the pit lane. He's down there in 27th, actually, 2 laps down. So things not going overly according to plan for him. But I think most of the cars actually have made. I think just about when you pit here, you're just about guaranteed to lose a lap because the lap is so short.
Yeah, well, that's what's throwing up some interesting results here. Is if you pit and you come in behind traffic, and you could be almost behind the traffic that you're already in initially, you are potentially losing a tremendous amount of time. So we can see our top 3 are trying to stay out as long as they can. Few people in the midfield trying to go for the undercut.
And that can be one of the things that happens. We see it all the time in stock car racing with the short laps they have there, where you can pit, you go a lap down, and then the safety car comes out at the exact wrong point and traps you a lap down. So it's something that is definitely going to be on the minds of these guys, and a lot of the guys have gone for that early pit stop, but certainly that can burn you. If you fall off the lead lap and the safety car comes out, you can be in big trouble.
Yeah, our top 4 haven't pitted as it stands at this point in time.
Alright, so just keeping an eye on that. It's really become a trio up the front now. Michael Dumbrell has fallen off a little way. We've still got Court leading Leonage by 1.4 seconds. Chadwick starting to reel him back in. and he's sitting there in third position, around about a second behind Leonage. And then we've got Michael Dumbrell, who's we mentioned earlier on. He's 11 seconds off the lead at the moment, so he's fallen back. And he's basically really just fighting off Jamie Davis now. He's making a bit of a charge through the field, and I guess is really going to be keeping an eye more on the split to him than the guys immediately ahead of him.
Yeah, Court still responding out in front. That gap of about 1.4 seconds between first and second place has stabilised now. So Leonard's throwing down the challenge a few laps ago, but Court definitely responding, and we're in a bit of a holding pattern now as we await our stops.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the stops play out here.
Yeah, it's all going to come down, I think, to that pit lane entry as well. I mean, it's got that little sort of chicane there, and I've seen a couple of guys during practice actually practicing that pit lane entry, and they come flying out of the last turn pretty much as fast as humanly possible, and then the last second jam on the brakes and fly across the track to the right to jump into the pit lane. And of course then there seems to be a little bit of a chicane there as well, so that's going to be something which, you know, if you get too greedy with it, you need to be quick there, but if you get too greedy with it, that can burn you, and with the positions as close as they are, especially at the front, that can cost you a podium really quite easily. Court goes round again, Leonage goes round again. Can't see any of the leaders jumping for the pits just yet.
James jumped in for pit this lap by, and he's dropped 12 positions.
Okay, so James Ruwalt making the stop there, and he was running up there in 7th position, wasn't he? And sort of on a bit of a recovery drive, as we've seen a few times from him this season, the big recovery drive.
Too, I believe.
Yeah, who's got a bit of an issue on their hands at the moment is Simon Chadwick, sitting in 3rd position, catching Leonage, but he's actually got guys that are a lap down behind him, but they're on fresh tyres, and here we come, Bell now on Chadwick, and he's not letting him through, fighting every way, almost like Max Verstappen and Ocon there, where the lap car almost took Chadwick out. I think Chadwick's had enough, and he's coming in the pits.
Yeah.
That's a smart move, because that was only going to win one way, wasn't it? You know, he was either going to have to give up position on the track or give up a whole bunch of positions in the grass. That's exactly where that was heading. So very good move by Chadwick, I think, to come rolling down the lane this time.
Yeah, we saw Chadwick, Dumbrell, and also Jamie come in for their pit stops while that was all going on.
Okay, so that just leaves the top two out there, really, who haven't made their stops as yet, Court and Leonage. And I wonder if those two are actually paying attention to each other or talking to each other and just trying to decide when they're going to actually come in and make that stop, or whether they're kind of concealing it from each other in the hope of putting one over on the other one. Court is in, Court's diving in this time, and Leonage is going with him. Yes, he is. So this is going to be a battle of the pit crews.
Oh, Leonage! So close to smashing into that wall. He locked up his brakes coming into the pits. I don't know if he's got damage. It was a bit of... No, he looks to be okay, but geez, that was close. He was inches away from ending his race there.
Yeah, I wonder if he got any... As we go to replay here... Oh, he just got the cane there coming in.
Yeah, I wonder if the iRacing will judge him a penalty for that. So that's something else that's remained to be seen. But it looks as though they're both on their way. And we'll see what the gap is actually like when they come out of the pit lane. It looks as though Leonage may have actually made a net gain on Court there, but at the same time, at what cost? Because that was so nearly disastrous, and may yet prove to be if he's got a penalty for that.
Yeah, I hope he didn't get a penalty. He's having a beautiful race, but sometimes when you first find yourself up in amongst the podium, the nerves can get you. You feel like pushing just that little bit harder, and the little mistakes can creep in. Hopefully that isn't the case, and he can continue to push Alex all the way. They did come out and get a fairly big gain on Chadwick. In fact, Chadwick is finding himself behind a bit of traffic here. Jonathan Ben, geez.
That's not traffic, that's for position. Ben hasn't been in yet.
No, true.
Yeah,
so Ben doesn't have to move over here, and he's not. And this is ruining Chadwick's race. I mean, he is now miles behind Leonage and Court. When he pitted, he was only 1.5 seconds behind as Ben comes into the pits.
Yeah, Ben's done nothing wrong there, but Chadwick's still not going to be happy.
No, he's not. I mean, he's now 7 seconds off the lead, so He'll now basically find himself trying to grind out this podium and hold off the likes of Hansen and Dumbrell.
Those two guys have made a massive net gains. The big loser out of that round of pit stops, definitely, without a doubt, Simon Chadwick. As you mentioned, fallen 7 seconds off the lead now, and that's got to be very, very difficult to claw back because he was very similar pace to the two cars in front of him, and now we've got Marty Hansen, and he's coming under a little bit of pressure from Brodie Scott. And we haven't really spoken about Brodie Scott too much because he is actually down there in 25th at the moment. These guys are not on the same lap, but certainly Scott seems to have decent pace in that 222.
Geez, Alex Court had a bit of lap traffic in front of him there, and the car went off onto the grass, into the wall, and I thought he was about to bounce back onto the circuit and hit him as Leonage now actually finds himself battling a lapped car in behind Court. So, as we said at the start of the race, lap traffic is going to prove a factor, and this is huge. Actually, this is huge for Leonage. He's getting held up big time behind Clay Lewis, and it's just so hard to overtake here. Besides turn 1, there's just nowhere to move, and Clay is not moving over for him at all, and Court sails away into the lead.
Yeah, that's really, really unfortunate for Leonage. He's been on the lights. He's been behind him for an entire lap now, and if we can't find space to let cars past over an entire lap, and now Clay's actually unfortunately tried to get space and gone off the track. So, well, he hasn't made the wall yet.
Hasn't he?
No, he's gathered it up. He's not in the wall. He's gathered it up, but yeah, he basically held Leonage up for the entire lap, and that's actually dropped Leonage 2.4 seconds now behind Court. So all that risky business he pulled in the pits has really been undone, and we're almost back to where we were before. It's just unfortunate because
Clay losing it into the grass, just going to slow-mo that hit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because Lewis has come out of the pits and he's seen the leaders coming. He's put the brakes on and Court got round the outside. And then it was just really, really awkward when Leonage got up behind him as well. And, yeah, unfortunately, it took him an entire lap to actually get that move done. So that's spread the leaders out a fair way.
Yeah, he come very, very close to that wall there on the outside, going through the grass.
Yeah, I can't believe he didn't hit the wall. My camera angle, he just speared off so much, I presumed there was a wall there. But it seems like there's a bit of a cricket field out there that he managed to hold the car in from hitting the wall. But look, we'll keep an eye on that lead. Leonage has good pace, and the problem we've got for Court too is that's not going to be the only lapped car between now and lap 41. There's still 11 laps left. Court's going to be held up in traffic as well at some point, which I think he is now, ironically.
He is right now.
And Leonage will benefit from that as well. So we'll keep an eye on that anyway. Keep an eye on that.
He's not really. The thing about Court is he's not really close enough to Veacock in front to actually really to have any reasonable claim to being let through at the minute. It seems as though Veacock's actually got enough of a gap there. He's not going to want to compromise his own race by slowing down and giving up time.
The front straight
so
yeah,
we'll see.
What was that, sorry, John?
I said he might have got the draft down the front straight, but he wasn't close enough there. Sorry, Edward, for butting in there.
No problems at all. We've got to try and keep our eyes on all the action that's going on up and down this field at the moment. It's almost impossible to see it all at once. But I think the Court's probably close enough up behind Veacock now that he'd probably be hoping that he's able to get a move done sooner rather than later to get around.
This is getting interesting, isn't it?
It is getting interesting. The Leonage is clawing that time back. Last time across the line, it was back to 1.3 seconds. I think it's going to be even closer than that this time around.
As you said, Court just can't get this move done on Veacock. I mean, Veacock was a quick guy, qualifying high up the grid, but the blue flags have been waving a long time. He's going to have to move over at some stage, I feel, and he's still not moving over. So this is opening the door now for Leonage. Leonage can really put his stake to claim of a victory here and put pressure on his teammate because Court is not getting through these back markers at all.
Yeah, Leonage closing rapidly now at 0.8 of a second there, looking at the live timing.
Looks as though Duggan having a little bit of a moment there, just letting those guys past as well. And he sort of got right off the track there. But yeah, as we say, Veacock is quite a quick guy. And Court really hasn't had the opportunity to get a move done, but at the same time, he's certainly been close enough that you would have expected the door to be open by now, I think.
Yeah, and with you and I being oval racers there, Edward, you and I both know that in oval racing, you don't have to let the leaders by. You can hold them behind you, but it obviously is courteous. And here in road racing, you have to let them by, especially if you're showing the blue flag.
Yeah, I do wonder if race control's keeping an
Yeah.
eye on this, because it's been going on for a while now. And I understand what Veacock is thinking. I understand that he's running his own race for a start. I mean, let's not forget
And he's
that
got a
Veacock
pace.
has got good pace, and he's not wanting to give that up. And he's trying to close down on the car of Mitch Campbell right in front of him. So they're racing for position. But you would also think that perhaps it may be a better idea to let Court go, let Court get up there, and of course, Campbell is then going to have to let Court by as well, and that's a hole that Veacock can potentially use to get through. So it's not always about running the fastest lap, but in any event, they come down the front stretch again, Court right underneath the rear wing. This has to be it, surely, for him to actually get by.
Oh,
it's still not happening.
He's not letting him through, guys. This is it. Leonage is going to close onto the back here. I think race control going to get over the blower in a minute.
It's less than a second now.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from race control, so they're letting it go. But I mean, he would have received now 30 blue flags. I don't know what the rule is. I thought it was 3, and then you had to let him over. So,
and Simon Chadwick, who was 7 seconds off the lead, it's now down to 4.3 seconds.
Chadwick. Wow. Here we go. He's got to let him. Oh, this is getting spicy. I love it. Good on you, Veacock. Veacock is just, for the viewers at home, spicing this one right up so we can watch a bit of a battle here.
Well, I mean, look how close it is now. Leonage well and truly.
Lights are flashing.
Lights are flashing on Court's car. And Leonage he's taking that same shallow line that he's been taking all race there into turn 1. So I don't think that was as much of a look as it looked like. Race control on the blower now.
Oh, that's race control. Race control warning Veacock, the blue flags. He's letting him through now.
And is he going to be as nice to Chadwick, who's coming through there? That's not actually Chadwick, that's his teammate, I'm sorry. Simon Chadwick still coming in there behind. 3.5 seconds he closed that to. Over half the gap that he lost being held up behind some traffic of his own. He's actually gained most of that back. So great for Chadwick. But obviously for Alex Court, he's giving him some stress he probably doesn't feel he deserves.
No, but it certainly opens the door for Leonage here, and as we saw in the first stint, Leonage had very good pace later on. We've only got 5 laps to go, so we'll see how he fares in the later part of this stint.
Yeah, we just saw Chadwick in that right there in this camera, and then the last one we see him looming in the background of those JINX Starter2 cars.
Yeah, certainly. It looks as though at the moment, and I hate to call it this early because it looks as though these the JINX Shifters cars, the winner's going to potentially come from one of those two, but at the same time, they are catching a big, angry battle pack up ahead of them that are locking brakes and sliding all over the place and have got their own battle going on. That pack consists of Wade Michael, John Sorensen, Jacob Brewer, Benjamin Siren. We saw him with a problem earlier on, didn't we? Stephen Griffiths, Daniel Hedderscheid, all of those guys in a big pack on their own, and those are going to be the next guys that Court and Leonage have to deal with. And Alex Court right now is just going to be coming up to that. He's driving through clouds of tyre smoke as it is, and he's just going to be sitting there thinking, oh no, I don't need this. I don't need this. I've done enough to win this thing already. He's what more can, he's probably sitting there looking at the sky going, throw more at me, I can take it. Like what else can it be? I mean, if iRacing had weather, I'm sure it'd start to rain right now as well, just to make it even worse. But certainly he's got a driver behind him who he knows is going to race it very, very cleanly. Of course, Leonage wants to win this race, but of course the number one rule when racing your teammate is do not take each other off. So I'm sure that Leonage will be mindful of that as well.
Just do the opposite of Red Bull, right?
That's
right.
Yes,
certainly not.
Don't do a Red Bull. But yeah, it looks like Court's building a little bit of a margin now over Leonage, settling back into a race pace. We'll see if that pack ahead comes into play. Talking about the backs in the backfield and the packs that we have there, they're all just watching there for a lap or two, very line astern, very hard to overtake. We've noticed that tonight. James Ruwalt, Daniel Hedderscheid, the likes of the quicker guys, really struggling, unlike previous rounds, to get back through the pack after some earlier mistakes. So very tough track to overtake on, and that mid-pack to give them credit, are behaving themselves. But yeah, very line astern and not too much going on. But geez, actually, Court is catching a three-way battle going on here. Oh, here we go.
He's in it.
You predicted it. It's not raining, but he's got a three-way battle pack with cars all over the circuit in front of him.
Sorensen gets right out the way quickly.
Yeah, so Sorensen noticed that the leaders were coming through and moved out of the way, which is nice of him there. We'll see if the rest are as nice.
Yeah, certainly. You wouldn't almost expect them to be, given the fact that although Griffiths is moving right out the way there. And of course, Leonard's just sitting back there going, come on, boys, just hold him up. Come on, don't need to get out of the way just that quickly. Yeah. This gap for the lead now moved out to 1.3 seconds, and Chadwick has fallen back to 5.2 behind. So Court has managed in those clean laps that he has had to extend that lead.
Yeah, I did notice that the Court does have the overall pace here once in clean air.
Ironically, talking about Vcock just behind, he was actually in front of Chadwick. Slowed him up a little bit, but now he's sandwiched between Chadwick and his teammate Marty Hansen, who's trying to pressure Chadwick for the last step of the podium. So Vcock could have a little bit to play in that. I don't know if he'll try anything, but yeah, it's just one to watch. But yeah, we've only got the 2 laps to go, so looks like Chadwick will get that 3rd position if all stays well from here.
Yeah, Laseth Leonage has just overtaken Griffiths as well, so he's cleared those 2. We've got a wreck in front. We've got a wreck in front of Court there at the chicane. Who was that? That was one of the Race on Oz cars, Alexander Newton. Oh, was it Race on Oz car? Yeah, it is. Alexander Newton's actually had a spin there, but he's managed to get it gathered up, drove across the grass, kept out of everybody's way, and honestly, great job there from Newton. If you're going to have an issue, and you've got cars bearing down on you, he managed to gather that up, get it off onto the grass and out the way perfectly well. He's actually done a great job there.
Yeah, as we come to the white flag here.
All right, so one final lap. Leonage 1.4 seconds behind Court. Simon Chadwick has bridged a little bit of that gap that time round, 4.8 seconds off the lead. You'd say it's probably a little bit optimistic for him to be able to make that up in a single lap, but we've got Alex Court. He's just bearing down on Jacob Brewer at the moment. Jacob Brewer, the next car to go a lap down, potentially, although there's not too much long left to go in this race, and he's actually run off the circuit there. He's going to stay just out the way. And Court manages to make his way through there. Leonage just has to pull to the outside, jink to the outside to get through there as well. And that nearly wound up in a bit of contact. And yeah, it looks as though it's going to be Alex Court is going to be able to take this one as he crosses the line to win round 10 of the JINX Starter 2 series right here at Lime Rock.
And second for Leonage, so that's a 1-2. For JP Simshed and the JINX shift to VA Commodore, so they're going to be pretty pumped. JP, the man behind the cameras, is going to be pretty pumped. Team owner there as well. Great 1-2, and a fantastic 3rd place for Simon Chadwick in 3rd place, backing up his win from last week with a really solid drive to get onto the final part of the podium. Hansen and Dumbrell, who we mentioned, fantastic job getting into the top 5.
Yeah, shouts out to Simon Chadwick there as well. As you mentioned, having won the race last week and backing it up with a 3rd place this time round. I mean, when you don't necessarily have the pace to win the race, be on the podium. That's exactly what he's done there, so fantastic work. We'll run through your full finishing order before we get these drivers up here for a little bit of a chat as soon as everybody has crossed the line. But Jono Hancock, first experience of the JINX Starter 2 race, what'd you make of it?
Very competitive and very lively out there tonight. A great drive from Alex out there tonight as well, and both the JP Simshed guys. And yeah, it was very full on there for a few laps when unfortunately Alex wasn't getting let by, which is again different rules to what I'm used to. But yeah, it's very interesting, very competitive.
Yeah, certainly was. So we're going to be able to run through the full results for you before we get in some of our drivers to have a little bit of a chat about the way that particular race unfolded. So, of course, Alex Court coming away with the victory, and his teammate Laseth Leonage there in 2nd place, only 0.7 of a second behind. And then we've got Simon Chadwick, who got that gap down 3.6 seconds by the end of that one. And then Marty Hansen and Michael Dumbrell, as mentioned, rounding out the top 5. Fantastic work from those 2 as well. And then looking further down the field, P6, Jamie Davis, Bailey Bell, those two guys managed to recover from their little incident earlier on to come back to 6th and 7th position. Then James Rewalt on another one of those trademark recovery drives from him comes home in P8. Then P9, we've got Chris Barnes, Darren Caldwell in P10. Then we've got John Schultz and Tyson McAvoy down there in P12. And then Holland and Ben Harrison, Aaron Gilbert. And then it's Dean Williams, Daniel Hedderscheid all the way down in 18th position. And the last car not to be lapped, Daniel Hedderscheid. And then we're down into our lapped runners, Stephen Griffiths, Cameron Veacock was a bit of a star tonight as well. Then we've got Mitch Campbell in 21st position, Brodie Scott 22nd, Clay Lewis 23rd, Michael Schroeder down there in 24th position, Benjamin Siren, Alexander Newton, Mark Duggan, John Sorensen, Jacob Brewer, and Wade Michael finishing down there in the 30th position, rounding out the field. So I can see that we've only got Simon Chadwick down there at the moment.
Still doing burnouts on the front.
Oh, is that what's going on? So
still the biggest burnout I've seen all season.
Okay, what we might do then is we might
hang on. I think he might be coming in now. Hang on.
Okay, we'll just see if he pops in. Traditionally, we do like to speak to the winner first if we can. We'll just see if he actually jumps into the green room or not.
I think he might be pretty pumped, Ed.
And yeah, I think he's going to be pretty pumped. I mean, anybody who spends that long doing burnouts is going to be pretty pleased with his his efforts. There he is. So we'll just grab Alex Court in for a quick chat and see how the race played out from his perspective. Where's he gone? He was there. Now he's disappeared. Now he's down in race control. So I might just wait for our director to bring him in. Hopefully we get him soon. There he is, Alex Court, first place tonight, first win in the JINX series. It's taken until round 10 to do it, although it looks like you've been sort of threatening for a little while. Talk us through the race.
Hey boys, how are we?
Probably not as good as you, mate.
Oh, boys, that is something I've been waiting for so long. Oh,
big burnouts.
Wow.
You look pumped.
Yep. Yeah, I have to give credit to my engineer, Kyle Booth there. He was the one that asked for a big burnout, so he sure got it.
Okay, well, it's normally it's the engineers who don't want you to do that because they like to look over the data. But anyway, the virtual world fixed setup's not such a big issue. So wanted to talk through the race as you saw it from your perspective. So obviously starting P2 on the grid and P1 got an absolute shocker, obviously, and you're able to drive away into the lead. It looked as though for the first part of the race, everything was pretty standard. And then, of course, the pit stop started to play out. Was there much discussion amongst you guys about what you were going to do pit stop wise?
There was a little bit, not a great deal. We just stuck to our strategy and followed through with it.
So were you guys worried? Because we were talking in the commentary box earlier on when a lot of guys started to pit early. And one of the things that we were noticing was that cars were going a lap down when they went into the pits with such a short lap here. Were you concerned about potentially going a lap down and getting caught behind a safety car at all?
No, not really. I felt that the majority of the race was pretty clean, like where I was on track. So I was probably like 80% sure that there wasn't going to be a safety car. So that never really played out in my mind.
Certainly. So now the question that everybody is obviously waiting for me to ask, and I'm a little bit hesitant at asking it, but I'll phrase it like this: very short lap, a lot of lap traffic. How was it for you tonight?
Let's put it this way: the practice paid off. So, yeah.
Is that all you'd like to say about the lap traffic, Alex?
They did a really good job of, getting out of the way and not holding me up too much. It was only towards the end there was one car where race control had to come across and ask to move.
And how many laps were you behind that car for? Because it did seem like a little while.
Three or four, I think. I was on the lights flashing. But he wasn't getting out of the way, so Kyle was telling me to start thinking about getting onto race control about it. I just left it for a little bit and waited to see if he did move. and then race control came across. So
Okay, so
yeah.
of course at that stage of the race, we also saw Leonard starting to make some inroads on your lead, and I'm not sure how aware you were of Simon Chadwick in behind. Just, I guess, making those inroads as well. I mean, were you in any kind of contact with your teammate to just, I guess, set down some sort of rules of engagement, or was it on between you two?
There was no communication between myself and Laz. I think Laz wanted me to win as much as anyone else in the team did, so I think he sort of helped me as like a rear gunner in a way.
Okay, well, just before we let you go, Alex, obviously you've got the forum to yourself. I'm sure there's a few people you'd like to thank after bringing home your first victory of the series.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, thank all our sponsors. I'm not 100% sure of all of them because I'm still learning them. JINX Shifters, Hulsingfeld, Goodyear, AutoCare, Drive Sim, VR Cover, and Cars for Hope.
All right, absolutely fantastic, Alex. Well done. That's that one win in the books. Now, of course, you can look forward and try to knock out another one next week. No pressure, though.
Definitely.
Fantastic effort, and I'm sure that you'll be wake up tomorrow a very happy guy when you get to look back on this one.
Definitely. Thanks very much, boys. And also just a shout out quickly to all the boys in JPS, and also massive thanks to JP for all the help this last week, the last couple of weeks leading up to the race, starts, etc. It's been awesome. So thank you very much.
All right, Alex Court, your winner there. Obviously, very, very pleased. And I tried to get something controversial out of him, guys. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get him to. To say anything. I tried to get a story, but unfortunately, not. Way too diplomatic. And I think perhaps if he had lost the race, he might have a little bit more to say about it. But when you come home, win, all of that's forgotten, obviously. So we're going to bring in second place now, Laseth Leonard. She's best finished so far in this series. And Matt, I might let you do the honours and interview Laz.
Laz, second place, mate. First time on the podium. Fantastic job. How does that one feel?
Oh, man, feel amazing. Thanks, mate.
You've been a driver on the rise. I was mentioning in the commentary. I've been watching you each week. You seem to be improving week in, week out, mate. What do you put that down to? Just pure practice, or?
Oh, man, it's a bit of coaching, practice, competing with Alex day in, day out, practicing. That helped as well. He's a fierce competitor, mate. So it was good.
Yeah, we were just talking to Alex. He said we were asking him about whether or not there was some team orders in play there, and he said you were pretty keen for him to win as well. So some good camaraderie there. But were you keen to have a go, or were you holding station and just getting that 1-2 nice and safe?
Look, I knew he was quicker than me as far as race pace goes, but I was keen to have a go, but did not have the opportunity. It was close, but not close enough. But Simon was chasing me at the same time, so I didn't want to really make a mistake.
Yeah, fantastic job, mate. How was the lap traffic out there? Looked like you might have been you got caught up a bit after the pits. Talk us through a bit of that.
Oh, mate, I was getting a bit worried because I can't remember who it was, but one car was just not letting me and Alex pass, and I think race control had to intervene a little bit. But I could see that Simon was just getting closer and closer, and had to get past that car, but it was tricky one.
Yeah, no, well done, mate. A fantastic drive, beautiful
Thanks,
to
mate.
see you up here. And before we let you go, mate, who'd you like to give some shout outs to tonight?
Mate, just a few sponsors. JINX Shifters, obviously. Abruzzi Australia, Goodyear AutoCare Warner, Drive Sim, Track Racer, VR Covers, and Cars for Hope. And big thanks to JP and Alex as well.
Well done, mate. Well done, Laz. We'll see you up on the podium, I'm sure, in the races to come.
Sure, mate. Thank you.
All right, so Lassith Leonage there, second place getter. Obviously, very, very pleased with his first best result of the series and first podium. I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah.
So we've actually got our third place driver in here, Simon Chadwick. Looked like he may have had something for those two guys in front of him to begin with. Jono Hancock, I'll let you have a chat to Simon and see how the race played out from his perspective.
Hey Simon, great third position there. Final step of the podium. How do you feel it played out from your point of view, the race tonight?
Oh, look, I overfueled. Unfortunately, once again, I had 13 litres overfuel, so that didn't help me with the pit stop at all. But in the long run, third's third, can't complain at all. My start was pretty good. I'm not sure what Ruwalt did there, but he just bogged down and didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, it was unfortunate start there that bogged him down, but
Yep.
gave you the chance to get up there and have a great race tonight. Just a bit of overfueling, which is easy enough to do.
Yeah,
But-
that's it.
We all make that mistake as drivers.
Yeah, I'd rather be overfueling than underfueling and not finishing the race or ending up in the back of the field.
Yeah, always better to be safe than sorry.
Yep.
Is there anyone that you'd like to thank that gets it done for you every week, and anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'd just like to thank my two teammates, Ben Siren and Mitch Campbell, Project X Racing, Penrite Oil, and Access Towing. They always assist me where I can, and they're a great bunch of people.
All right.
Well, let's
anything
certainly
else
hope. Sorry, Jono.
I was just going to ask anything else you'd like to add, Ed or Matt.
I guess certainly Simon would be hoping that he doesn't need to access that towing service too often. But one of the things I did want to ask you about, Simon, was just regarding, you did mention your teammate Benjamin Siren, who seemed to be sat there in a very solid fourth position at one stage and then wound up off the track. And we believed he may have had some sort of mechanical trouble. Do you know what actually happened to him?
Yeah, mate. Pretty sure cylinder 5 went through the bonnet.
Right. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that kind of needs to say where it belongs.
Yeah, he blew an engine, unfortunately, and the explicits that came out, and then asking for a tow was followed afterwards.
Right. Okay. Well, that answers that particular question for us at the very least. Unfortunate, because it did look as though you guys might have been on for third and fourth, but at the very least you were able to bring home that podium. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, definitely, unfortunately for him, but look, third's a third, so thank you guys, appreciate it.
All right, so that was Simon Chadwick there. So just final thoughts, guys, on that race. It certainly was an intriguing one with the short lap time and the traffic and everything else. So guys have anything to add before we go?
I said before the race, I was hoping to see the battle between Ruwalt, Heddershide, Chadwick and Court. And we didn't get to see it again because Ruwalt and Heddershide seemed to struggle, even Jamie Davis as well. But Court took full advantage, got the win. Great to see Leonage up there, Marty Hansen, Dumbrell, Bailey Bell, Chris Barnes, and Caldwell in your top 10. A few guys that really lifted tonight to get some good results.
What about yourself, Jono? Final thoughts on that one?
It was a great race there, and it really heated up towards the end. Unfortunate for the guy who qualified first there and got a bad jump, but it's easy enough to do in these things. They're not easy to get off the start at the best of times.
All right, absolutely. So, series coming to a rapid conclusion, but we've enjoyed every single one of the 10 races that we have seen so far. So, from myself, Edward Foster, Jonathan Hancock, Matt Andrews, and as always, our faithful director, JP Correa, thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we will see you next week with round 11. Goodbye.